Guys, here's a story that almost nobody saw coming. White South Africans brought to the United States under a refugee program championed by the Trump administration are now packing their bags and, going back home to South Africa. Not because they were, forced out, but because they chose to leave. These are people who arrived in America with the promise of safety, stability, and a better life. They were, told they were fleeing persecution. They were told America would take care of them. Instead, they found cockroach-infested apartments, food insecurity, and a cost of living that swallowed every cent they were given. And now, South Africa is calling them home. What does it mean when the very people held up as symbols of political persecution decide that the country they supposedly fled is actually better than the one they ran to?
USA, USA, USA. Hey dude, what's up? I'm moving to the USA, bro. Okay, why? Because I just got refugee status, son. Okay, don't talk like that, okay? And why did you get refugee status? Because I'm white, bro. Isn't refugee status for people from war-torn countries or like people that just got nowhere else to go? Not being white, like Trump. There's literally thousands of people living in shacks today because of our history and also because of the current government's terrible efforts to take care of the most vulnerable. Do you think they can get refugee status? Are they white? No. Well, too bad. What Daddy Trump says goes. Isn't that racist? I don't know, dude.
I personally don't believe South Africa should take back any of the white Afrikaners that left South Africa due to the genocide of the white farmers that just simply didn't exist.
A growing number of South Africans returning home from abroad. This comes as some citizens consider leaving under a refugee program that was introduced by the United States administration of Donald Trump following unfounded claims of a so-called white genocide in the country. What the fuck?
We talked briefly about South Africans who arrived to America as refugees. They had horrible living conditions, complaining about only getting $2,000 a month, and that wasn't enough to live, and that America is really violent. More than 12,000 South Africans have checked their citizenship status on a portal that was launched. That represents a fraction of the total South Africans abroad. But official statistics have showed that over 15,000 South Africans have repatriated to South Africa in the last 2 years. Over 1,000 have reclaimed their citizenship, and the rest in America are complaining about the cost of living, saying that the money they're receiving from the government is not adequate, that it's too expensive, they can't keep it with their bills, and they're not receiving preferential treatment that they thought they would receive under Donald Trump.
Refugees is that they're spending weeks in motels in unsafe areas. They're being offered housing that is full of mold, apartments that are full of mold in expensive areas. So each refugee is allotted $2,000, and all of that has been going to rent. So they're really left with nothing. And these agencies are supposed to help them apply jobs, obtain temporary benefits such as SNAP and Medicaid. They don't have transportation. They don't have the right clothing.
So this is why they say racism is expensive. You left your country where your great-great-great-grandparents settled, and due to your fear of being a minority in a country that you shouldn't be in, you came to America thinking you were going to get preferential treatment and that America was a white country. You found out America's not a white country. You also found out that you came here and they treated you like a refugee and they made you a poor white person, meaning you were forgotten about and you got no benefits besides the free $2,000 that you get that I don't receive. And now you're going back to South Africa because you realize that your life there is better than your life here. I don't think you guys should be taking these people back, South Africa. That's just my opinion. Hey, I'm not South African. What do I know? All I know is that racism is expensive. And when you come to a country as a racist and you go back to a country as a racist, you're still a racist. Ciao.
The white South African refugees Trump granted asylum to are returning back to South Africa because they are struggling financially here in the U.S. I'm Major League, and this is news you need to know.
The administration is prioritizing white South Africans for admission, a group it says faces persecution at home, something the South African government disputes. Well, now an investigation from the Free Press shows many of those white South Africans, also known as Afrikaners, are barely scraping by because of what they say are failures in U.S. government systems.
Reuters is reporting that dozens of white South Africans who were recently granted asylum in the United States are now voluntarily returning to their home country. Although the Trump administration framed their arrival as a necessary rescue from racial persecution, these families are finding the American economy nearly impossible to navigate. Many of those returning cite the high cost of housing, lack of affordable health care, and a missing social safety net as the primary reasons for their departure. These refugees are discovering that the financial reality of life in the U.S. is far more difficult than the life they left behind in South Africa. What does it say about the persecution these people were up against in South Africa that they would choose to return because the rent is too expensive? This is what we get when immigration and asylum policies are shaped by white nationalists. The Trump administration invited the white beneficiaries of apartheid to America while hunting down black and brown people in the streets. These people were a symbol of a specific political agenda that chose to prioritize whiteness over everything else. But I want to know what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments and follow Major League TV on all platforms.
White South Africans that were pretty much the only people Donald Trump has let into the country since his administration took over are returning home. They came to the United States because they said they were being persecuted in their home country, and now they're going back because they say nobody is meant to live the way you have to live in the United States. It's too expensive and it's too violent. They say, look, we're leaving the U.S. to return home because I don't want to live in a place like this. That article goes on to claim that they didn't want to live in places where people are getting shot in broad daylight and where things cost 10 times more than they should. See, for the people in the U.S., these things are normal, but for the rest of the world, it's not. We are not a safe country. We are not the greatest country in the world, and we're not a country that actually takes care of its citizens. So these white South Africans that came here because they were persecuted, that Donald Trump welcomed to fanfare, are now going home because things were better there than they are in the United States.
Well. It seems like a lot of expats, South Africans, majority of them being white, are returning to South Africa because they fear for their lives in the US. Mr. Andrew Whyte says he left SA because he was held at gunpoint in his car and he felt unsafe. Now he says he fears for his life because there's greater threats in the United States, citing mass shootings in public places as well as violence by US immigration officers. He is one of 12,000 people that have checked their citizen status online since November last year. 12,000 people are showing interest. Minister of Home Affairs, Leon Schreiber, says 1,000 have reclaimed their citizenship, a number expected to grow significantly as this new program that has revoked the 1995 law that says if you go and live abroad, your citizenship is revoked. That has been changed so people can apply again for citizenship. I for a fact know that the DA is going to use this as a strategy to get more white people to return to South Africa to increase their voting power.
The US ambassador issued a retraction after his wildly outrageous statements about South Africa caused us to cuck him out diplomatically. Thousands of white South Africans are returning from America for a better life. Yes, they would rather have oppression and persecution than live in Trump's America. And it turns out Trump's America has abandoned the Afrikaner refugees, some of whom are living in cockroach-infested apartments, walking miles to the grocery store for food, and eating just one meal a day to save money. Yes, it's been a tough time recently for Americans spreading lies and nonsense about South Africa, especially new U.S. Ambassador to South Africa, Leo Brandt Brazil III, LBB, who will now be known as BBL. Ambassador BBL came for South Africa in the last 48 hours, speaking at some other niche kind of conference thing apparently that nobody had ever heard of. He laid out these 6 demands that he said that South Africa had to fulfill, or else he threatened us with United States interests over what we should be doing within our own country. He dared to say that he didn't care about our courts, that he did not respect the opinions and decision-making of a popularly elected, democratically chosen government. He made it clear that we South Africans had to change a bunch of internal domestic policies and our international foreign policy to suit America's interests, including things as absurd as being non-aligned, by which he rarely meant do whatever America says and follow America's bidding around the world, which is not being non-aligned, and giving them preferential purchase rights, bettering trade relations, cooperation, for our critical minerals at a point in time where there are many countries who want our critical minerals. He said a bunch of other things like BEE must go, we must change our expropriation laws, we need to change our priorities in South African policing. And South Africa responded with the diplomatic version of that famous old meme, say it with me now, if you want to talk to me direct. Don't go through the corners.
Now, let's start with the numbers, because the numbers tell the real story. Each refugee received a government allotment of $2,000 per month. That sounds manageable until you realize that in most American cities, that amount barely covers rent, which means after paying for a roof over their heads, families had nothing left. No money for groceries, no money for transport. You know, some were walking miles just to reach, a supermarket. Some families were eating one meal a day. These individuals went there expecting preferential treatment. Many believed genuinely that because of the political framing around their arrival, they would be prioritized, supported, and welcomed into a stable new life. What they found instead was neglect. They were placed in deteriorating housing in unsafe neighborhoods. They encountered gun violence in public spaces. They described feeling more endangered in American cities than they ever felt back home in South Africa. And perhaps most striking, some expressed genuine shock at the racism they witnessed in America. Not the racism they claimed to be fleeing, but the daily structural racism directed at Black and brown people that were observed around them. They had not expected that, and for some, it changed how they saw everything. Now, let us zoom out, because what we are watching here is not just a human interest story about, people who moved countries and struggled financially. This is a story about, political narratives colliding with reality and reality winning. The refugee program at the center of this story was built on a very specific claim that white South Africans, and particularly white farmers, were facing a genocide, that they were being systemically persecuted, that South Africa was no longer safe for them. Those claims were amplified aggressively by the Trump administration. They were used to fast track refugee status for a specific group, while other nationalities fleeing documented conflicts were turned away or had their applications frozen. The message, whether stated directly or not, was clear. These refugees were a priority. But here's where the story fractures. The same people who were used to illustrate that narrative, who arrived on American soil under, that political banner, are now going home voluntarily. And their reason is not complicated. They say life in South Africa was better, not perfect, not without problems, but better than what they experienced in the United States. Now, let us talk about South Africa's side of this equation, because the country did not simply wait for its citizens to run on their own. South Africa recently revoked a 1995 law that had automatically stripped citizenship from anyone who lived abroad. Under that old law, if you left and settled elsewhere, your South African citizenship was cancelled. No appeal, no pathway back. That law is now gone. A new online portal launched in November of last year. Within months, over 12,000 people had checked their citizenship eligibility. More than 1,000 have already successfully reclaimed their status. And there is a political dimension to this as well. The Democratic Alliance, one of South Africa's major opposition parties, is reportedly tracking these repatriations closely, viewing, returning citizens as a potential expansion of their voter base. So this is not just a humanitarian story. There are votes, resources, and political positioning embedded in every step of this process. And then there is the diplomatic dimension, which may be the most consequential layer of all. The United States ambassador to South Africa reportedly represented the South African government with 6 specific demands, not suggestions, demands. They included that South Africa adopt so-called non-aligned foreign policy stance, which critics interpreted as a directive to simply follow America's lead on the global stage. The abolition of black economic empowerment policies, changes to the country's expropriation laws, cooperation on critical mineral extraction, preferential trade rights for American interests, and restructuring of domestic policing priorities. South Africa said no. And when a government that was openly courting a group of white South Africans as political refugees simultaneously attempted to, dictate the domestic and foreign policy of their home country, you have to ask a harder question. Was this ever really about protecting people, or was it about leverage? I want to be careful here, because real people are caught in the middle of all this. There are individuals like, the man referred to in the source material, who genuinely experienced trauma, who reported being held at gunpoint, who, felt unsafe. That experience is real and it matters. But the political machinery that surrounded their arrival transformed, personal fear into a broad sweeping narrative that was used to justify policies impacting millions of people, both inside South Africa and across the global refugee system. And now, that same narrative is unraveling, not because of political opposition, but because the people inside the story are saying with their feet that it did not hold up. Here's my closing thought. When a refugee decides to return home, not because conditions in their home country dramatically improved overnight, but because conditions in their destination country were worse, that is a signal worth paying attention to. It tells us something about the limits of political storytelling. It tells us something about what happens when a narrative is built for, electoral purpose rather than grounded in lived reality. And it raises a question that applies far beyond this specific situation. When we craft policies around fear, who actually benefits and who ends up paying the price? The white South Africans boarding flights home right now are not villains in this story, but they are perhaps unwittingly the clearest evidence that the story they were placed inside was never quite true. Well, guys, drop your thoughts on the comments. Let me know. What do you think? Also, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share as well. And until next time, bye-bye.